A very good afternoon. Thanks for joining us here on Sky News. The girlfriend of a man who ended his own life at a euthanasia clinic after she threw acid on him has been acquitted of murder. 48-year-old Berlinah Wallace was found guilty of throwing a corrosive substance with intent over the incident in 2015. It led to her boyfriend, Mark van Dongen, having his lower left leg amputated and left him paralysed, scarred and partially blind. He died in Belgium last year. Sky's Rebecca Williams is outside court for us today. Rebecca, complex case this one. Explain it for us.
Well, yes, this all happened, as you say, back in 2015. We've just had the verdicts in, and as they were read out, Mr van Dongen's father was in floods of tears. He had to be led out of court by a police liaison officer. And Berlinah Wallace, she's 48 years old. She herself was crying as well. Like you say, she's been found guilty of throwing a corrosive substance with intent, but cleared of that manslaughter and murder charge. Now, as you say, this is a complicated case. It all unfolded in Westbury Park, a pretty affluent part of Bristol, back in 2015. And Berlinah Wallace threw sulfuric acid at her partner of 5 years, Mark van Dongen. They met on an HIV dating site, and it left him with horrendous injuries. He had a complete disfigured face, he lost his left leg, he was paralysed from the neck down, and we were shown some of the images of what happened in court, and those are simply too graphic to show on camera. But like I say, she was found guilty of throwing the acid. Here's more details with my report. It was an acid attack that left Mark van Dongen severely disfigured. He lost his sight, his left leg, and was paralysed from the neck down. Berlinah Wallace, his partner of 5 years, threw the acid at him after he got a new girlfriend. So severe were Mr van Dongen's injuries that his father, who's from the Netherlands, says he chose to end his life at a euthanasia clinic.
Al die maanden alleen maar pijn hebt, alleen maar jeuk hebt.
With all the pain and itching he's gone through, it was terrible. And all the lung infections, one after the other. And then he was told that a third tracheostomy was needed. So he knew he'd lose his voice. So what would he have left? Just pain, itching, and just another ceiling to stare at all day long.
Jeuk en een ander plafond om naar te kijken.
It was here in Westbury Park on the leafy outskirts of Bristol that the attack happened while Mark was sleeping. The sulfuric acid was so strong that it burnt his bed sheets. He told the police before he died that she'd thrown it at him and said, "If I can't have you, nobody else will." She'd even searched online about the impact sulfuric acid could have on a person's body. The night of the attack, a passerby called the emergency services for help.
Can you ask him what's happened?
I'm not sure what's happened. Excuse me, mate. Excuse me. Hello? Yeah. What's happened, please?
Somebody threw acid over me. Can you see
Someone
that?
threw acid over his face, apparently.
There's acid thrown over his face?
Yeah.
Okay, bear me a second. Is the attacker still nearby?
Who did this to you, please? His ex.
Berlinah Wallace met Mr van Dongen on an HIV dating site back in 2010. They set up home here in Bristol together. Now, in court, she admitted that they had had an abusive relationship, and on occasion, she'd bit him and she'd scratched him. She did say that she'd suffered from depression, and a few times she tried to kill herself.
It's clear that the acid was there in the address for several weeks. The fact the acid was taken out of a bottle which had the label removed, it was poured into a glass and taken into her bedroom, to me suggests that it was going to be used as a weapon.
Berlinah Wallace was today cleared of murder, but was found guilty of throwing a corrosive substance with intent. In police interviews, she claimed that it was Mark who'd put the acid in a glass, hoping that she would drink it, thinking it was water.
He said to me it was water. "I've got water for you, like you come and take your medication and go to bed." He wanted me to burn my insides.
Mr van Dongen's father says he's now lost everything.
Beschouwd als familie.
She's a danger to society. She's just crazy. She was part of our family and she was treated as my own daughter. They celebrated Christmas with us, family celebrations, parties. They lived in our house as part of our family, so it feels awful.
Ontzettend slecht. Ontzettend slecht.
Berlinah Wallace said in court that her relationship with Mark had been violent both physically and verbally. She's been cleared of murder, but has been found guilty of throwing a corrosive substance with intent.
Rebecca Williams, Sky News at Bristol Crown Court.
Now, throughout this case, we have heard how both Berlinah Wallace and Mark van Dongen had a very violent relationship on both sides. Berlinah Wallace gave evidence, and as she did so, she said she thought that night her partner was taking up a glass of water to the bedroom so she could take some tablets, and so when she threw it, she thought that it was water, I should say, but it turns out the jury decided that wasn't the case, and she knew what she was throwing. Now, we heard how she had a difficult upbringing. She'd grown up in South Africa. We've heard a lot about their relationship, and as I say in court today, Mr. van Dongen's father, who said he's lost everything following the attack, he was in floods of tears. We are expecting him to perhaps come and give a statement on the court steps a little later on, and we understand that Berlinah Wallace will be sentenced sometime next week, probably Monday.
OK, Rebecca, for now, thank you.